WrestleMania 40, of course, is just a few short weeks away, and it looks like we could be getting our Night One main event. You can see it on the screen there, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins against The Rock and Roman Reigns. It looks like it is nailed on. This upcoming Friday on SmackDown, Cody and Seth will deliver the answer to the challenge made by The Rock. Of course, he was in the ring with the Tribal Chief at the time. The Rock turning down a match with Cody Rhodes one-on-one anytime between now and WrestleMania, instead suggesting the tag team encounter. It's clear that match is going to be happening. I think anyone that is thinking otherwise at this point, you need to probably check yourself, honestly, because it's definitely going to be going down. Night one main event. We've already announced as well from WWE that night two will have Seth versus Drew McIntyre as a kind of a sub-main event, co-main event, if you will, along with Cody versus Roman. So it looks like 3 of the 4 superstars will be doing double duty. But the question I have for everybody is, has The Rock kind of given away kind of how WrestleMania is going to go? Seems to have a couple of theories coming out of SmackDown's promo. All the talking The Rock did last week. But I'm joined by the one and only Mr. NX Steve in the house, of course, the one and only. Welcome to the show as always. And yeah, are you ready for some Q&A action?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, is it bad that we kind of already have an idea of what's going to happen for WrestleMania? I mean, it's kind of spoiling the hierarchy and like the possibilities, but you never know. Like I said, we could be pleasantly surprised and it could be something different.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, obviously, with The Rock obviously saying that if Rock and Roman win this tag team match that should take place, obviously him and Cody, that will end up being Bloodline rules, or should I say Roman and Cody will be Bloodline rules on the Sunday, which means anything can go, really. The Bloodline call the shots, but of course, if Cody and Seth happen to win the match on Saturday, that does mean that they will end up taking the Bloodline away from ringside. It will be Cody versus Roman one-on-one. And for those that have kind of watched these videos over the last number of weeks, know our theory all the way through on this. The fact is that The Rock is kind of almost playing Roman to this point. Maybe he's on side for now, but the turn is coming, ladies and gents. The Rock will turn on Roman Reigns. The time is when, not if. And could it be on night one during the tag team match to ensure that Cody and Roman is one-on-one, eliminating all the Bloodline from ringside, including himself? Or is it what he suggested on night two, suggesting that, well, Jimmy and Solo can be at ringside? He said he could be one holding a steel chair and he could wrap it around Cody's head, ensuring that Cody doesn't finish the story. But of course, well, why would he do that? Maybe he could suggest he's going to do it to Cody, but actually does it to Roman Reigns. Cody goes on to finish that story, and then from there on, we can start being able to build Roman versus The Rock, potentially for WrestleMania 41. We could even have a scenario of actually building matches between then and WrestleMania 41. And we could have a scenario where Cody then has finished the story and can go on to pastures new. Who would have thought that would be possible after the Royal Rumble this year when The Rock actually made the return and Cody was pushed to the side? NX Steve, how do you sort of see WrestleMania playing out at this point? Do you see option one where we're not going to get Bloodline rules and perhaps The Rock turns on Roman on the tag team match? Or do you see it's probably going to be more likely on night two at this stage?
The biggest factor in this is actually Seth Rollins, because for me, I think if you have Seth in this tag team match, he's the one that's going to ultimately, if they are going to lose it, it's going to be down to Seth taking a pin. And I think that also plays into Seth losing the World Heavyweight title on night two as well. I think if, say, Seth is the one that takes the pin, keeps Cody strong because he obviously hasn't taken a pin, Seth will then lose again on night two, lose that world title, and it kind of like, it's the scenario I'd go with just for the pure fact that it's essentially now or never for Cody. It's kind of like he doesn't have he doesn't have any other options. It's kind of like he has to deal with everything. I mean, hey, if we get Solo singing the national anthem, I won't complain. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, I think it's more dramatic that if he goes through the loss on the first night and kind of just stack the odds against him, so that when he does win, it's just an even bigger thing.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that as well. I think that, adversity has kind of been the name of the game of the story for Cody over the last 12 months. We were saying, he come back and won the Rumble number 30. Where's the adversity? He doesn't deserve to win the championship. Lost the Roman. Well, since then, he's gone through adversity over the last 12 months. I mean, you could argue Cody has throughout his entire career to a certain degree, having to leave the company, start another company to then make his way back. But at the same time, like you say, one more step of adversity kind of makes sense, especially if Cody then picks up a little niggling injury, goes into night 2. How he's not even 100% now? How was Cody going to even be able to finish the story? I can even make the match. It just adds a different layer to it. And of course, we've seen what happened before when Cody legitimately got injured before his Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins a couple of years ago. It can make a 5-star classic just out of it alone, because you're going to believe what you're seeing. You're going to feel it more. There's storyline, there's narrative, there's drama that goes into it. But another bit of drama that I could suggest to you as well is, what about if Drew McIntyre seems to have a lot of bloodline involvement in his matches at the minute. Would Drew want to get a one-upsmanship on Seth at WrestleMania as well?
I've told you, man, everything with Drew is coincidental. You're portraying Drew like he's this mad heel, and it's like, look, it's all been coincidental. Like, that's just it. I mean, hey, even on his TikTok accounts that he's like, do you know what I mean? He's posting stuff about playing CM Punk's music in front of the fans and stuff like that. But you're portraying him to be this major heel, and dude, he's still a face. There's nothing wrong with that. But look, man, for me, I would be very surprised. Do you know what I'm even actually expecting? I'm expecting a third person to be added to that match. I'm expecting someone else to be like, whether it be a Sami Zayn, for example, or just someone else. Even if Priest cashes in, I think is probably an even stronger possibility, just for the pure fact that I don't know when Priest cashes in otherwise, because he's only got maybe 2-3 months left before the next Money in the Bank, and it's kind of like the stigma and the who, when, where, and why he'll do it is kind of really died down about it. And I'm kind of like, Mania seems like a real opportunity, but then I'm kind of like, I don't really want Drew being screwed over at a Mania moment. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Like I said, I can't personally see Seth walking away with that world title, but like I said, I don't know if Drew's walking away with it either at this point.
I have an agreement with you of Damian Priest. I think that's the name that goes in there, because the heist of the century, of course, was done by Seth. And how about he gets heisted at WrestleMania himself? It just feels like it would be a big talking point, a big moment. And I was thinking to myself on Raw this past week, watching Damian Priest when he won with the Judgment Day over Imperium. I was sitting there thinking to myself, this guy's ready. You know, we've bided our time with Damien, with the briefcase. We've gone through different storylines. We've even gone through the R-Truth storyline, which I think is going to resurface. It's not quite finished yet, but I do believe that Priest could lose those tag team titles night 1 of WrestleMania. Like you say, walk away World Heavyweight Champion at the end of night 2 of WrestleMania. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And like you say, yeah, it's not great for Drew, but it just adds to more of the drama with the Drew storyline, because the more he doesn't get the job done, the more he, he's more of a heel he becomes, I'm afraid, NXT. I hate to give you broken dreams, but it is what it is, unfortunately. But you know, I'm here a week. This is what I do. I'll try and get the sound effects ready for later in the show as well. But it's good to see everyone in the chat with us as well. But obviously, we'd like to know your thoughts with regards of this topic as well, with regards of WrestleMania. How do you see it going to be playing out? Is Cody going to finish that story as well? And what do you think with the tag team encounter? Is it the right main event for night 1? We'd like to know your thoughts. And if anything wrestling related, it could be WWE, AEW, TNA. Get involved. We're going to be mixing up with your questions in about 3 or 4 minutes. But Steve, just before we do, anything you'd like to add with everything we spoke about so far?
Just to talk about that Rock promo from Friday night, because I watched it and I texted you straight away and I went, oh my God, possibly promo of the year from The Rock. Like, the last couple of weeks he's done a promo, it's kind of like, it's almost like he's lost a step. Like he's making these slight errors that he never used to make. But dude, he come out Friday, starts calling them meth-head Marys and crackhead Karens, and my God, what a promo. Like, I would never have expected that sort of dialogue to be used in a WWE promo. It was the funniest thing and the greatest thing. And like I texted you as well, the fact that so much was said and the stuff that wasn't said in that promo, just phenomenal. Roman just asking The Rock to acknowledge him. Oh man, fantastic. Like, even I was like putting the ones up for Roman there, man. It was great.
It was awesome, to be fair. I've got to say, I did really enjoy the promo segment last week on SmackDown. I enjoyed as well Rock's 21 minutes tirade he did on Instagram and X as well.
Seen it yet.
Honestly, go out your way. It's definitely worth doing so. Apparently, that is the stuff that he couldn't fit onto SmackDown because 40 minutes of a segment wasn't long enough for The Rock, which is pretty much why he decided to do this. But hey, it's definitely worth a listen for those that haven't gone to do so. Although, just one final question before we go into the chat. What do we think of the comeback of Diarrhea Dwayne? I had succotash feelings and flashbacks. It was horrified on Monday Night Raw this week. For me, it was, I know it's meant to be bad on purpose, but Jesus, I felt really like, do we have to? Like, I felt like it was a 4-year-old target audience with that.
Just stick with Rocky sucks, man. Jesus, like, it's horrible. Like, it is pure garbage. Like, it's playground taunting. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's what you used to do as a 5-year-old. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we might as well just call him a poo-poo head. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I'm expecting now from, like, when we're getting Diarrhea Dwayne. It was horrible, man.
Hey, we don't swear on this channel very often, but I can imagine already The Rock's got the comeback of calling him shit stain Seth on Friday. I can see it coming because let's be fair, yeah, it was taunt humor in one way, but the best way to describe Seth's promo on Raw was just diarrhea in general.
But even like The Rock, when he called Seth a walking clown emoji, I was like, that's clever.
Yeah,
that's a very intuitive insult. But to call him Diarrhea Dwayne, it's like, yeah, Cody, you're finding it really hard for me to get behind you here when you're using insults like that, man. At least do something like Meth Head, Meth Head Mary and Crackhead Carol was. But yeah, it was bad.
Hey, it was what it was. But hey, this is what we think of this meantime anyway. We think that it is looking like Cody will finish the story on night 2, but we do think that The Rock and Roman will be winning on night 1. So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments below anyway, and we're going to get involved with the chat now. And for the rest of the show as well, mix it up as well. Throw in some questions for us because we're going to be going for around about an hour with the Q&A. So get involved with your questions nice and early, and we're going to whiz through them as best and quick as we can. Bobby here saying hello. Hello, Bobby. Hope you're doing well. He says, hope we're having a great day. Having a very good day, Bobby, and hope you are as well. Thank you for checking out the stream. Eric Douglas in the house as well. Thank you for checking us out. And Eric as well. And says, how's it being a dad? Loving every day. Proud moments every single day, Eric. It truly is absolutely awesome. And NXT, you're also a parent of your own.
Oh yeah, but they do test your patience when they start getting to the age of my oldest is nearly 13, and they can test you. They can test you.
It can be testing moments, so we'll say that much for a D, but certainly it's worth it, outweighs all the rest. Kicking with Leo in the house. Leo, hope you're doing well. It says, I think Cody gets pinned night 1 because it'd be a crazy way to end night 1 going with into it. Cody will be up against it. Biggest odds possible going against every member of the bloodline. It does have that feeling about it. And of course, if The Rock does turn on Roman on night 2, obviously he can take out the rest of the bloodline also involved in there. I wouldn't be surprised as well, just quickly before we go into our next comment, things you can build up because the Netflix era is coming for WWE, and you can have this idea of, Rock versus Roman, WrestleMania 41. I think more people will be behind it because Cody's finished the story, and you can build up other things because Jey Uso's got stuff going on with Jimmy as well. So you can even build like a 6-man tag team matchup. Maybe it was a thing all along where Cody and The Rock become on the side. You can have Cody, Jey, and The Rock versus Roman, Jimmy, and Solo in a Saudi show or something. You can really build up in that way as SummerSlam. Start doing little things just to build up between then and WrestleMania because The Rock is having a big impact since coming back. He says he makes wrestling cool again. I mean, something tells me that wrestling doesn't need to be called cool if it's becoming cool again. That's something that tells you that maybe we're being told it's being cool again rather than actually itself. But still, regardless, I think that The Rock is in it for the long haul, and I think he will make some odd appearances between now and next year's WrestleMania to fulfill a match with Roman, which I think is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I mean, the testing point for them is really going to be sort of the second week after Mania, maybe even the first pay-per-view, because there's all this hype obviously building for WrestleMania, and I'll be honest with you, I have found Raw and SmackDown a lot more must-watch in the last couple of months, well, last year in general, really, but it's really sort of peaked just before Mania. But like I said, it's going past Mania where you've kind of got to see where the direction is, what their plans are, who they plan on having feud for titles, and just in general what they're going to do, because it's fine having it now, but for me it makes sense to do Rock Roman Mania next year, just purely for the fact that they're going to Netflix, and obviously that's a big deal, and that will probably drive a lot of subscriptions for Netflix. And do you know what I mean? They'll make a really big deal out of that. So that really does make sense for me. But yeah, the first sort of 4 to 6 weeks after Mania are really going to be the testing period. If they can maintain the viewership, the interest, and do you know what I mean? Just in general, that kind of excitement about it.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with all of that indeed there for what you just said there. But someone that could potentially disagree is DWE, Dan in house. Hope you're doing well. Dan says WWE's on fire at the moment. Rock shouldn't turn on Roman. Heel Rock has been gold, and to be fair, has been pretty entertaining. Have enjoyed his work, but doesn't mean he can't flip it onto the babyface side as well.
Well, I think Roman is due the babyface turn, and I think that's what the plan will be for Mania next year. Like, once Roman loses that title, if he loses that title, and then depending on what happens between now and Mania, I think this is the next year will be Roman's face turn. Again, depending on what happens at Mania with maybe Solo as well, just because like I felt personally watching that SmackDown promo, Solo was getting mugged off, and Solo's not the kind of guy that likes to be mugged off. So I maybe expect him to do something, maybe him to just spike someone out of the pure disrespect that he's been shown. So who knows, man? But it's going to be exciting to see what happens.
It will be exciting to see indeed. And I think if Roman ever does turn face, I think he needs to lose everything. Like, it has to be the case of everything. First, he loses that championship, then it's the bloodline, member by member, and obviously then that vulnerable side of Roman. Then you can start feeling maybe a little bit sorry for the guy. And then I think that's where you can start actually getting behind the tribal chief as he tries to build himself back up. But it'll be interesting to see. But Leo will be going to Raw on Monday night. Some big matches announced for Raw already, including the Women's Tag Team Championships. We've got Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark challenging, looking to get those titles off for the Kabuki Warriors. And as well as that, Liv Morgan versus Becky Lynch. And Leo, a big Liv Morgan fan, gets involved. Was that we actually talked about in the comments yesterday when I announced we're going to do a Q&A. Glad to put the question here as well so we can talk about it. It says, where do you think the story with Liv Morgan is heading now that she's recently cost Becky the win on Raw and then having a match next week? What do you reckon is the end goal will be for Liv Morgan? Which is a very good question, because if we're going to be brutally honest here, Becky Lynch has won the Elimination Chamber. She has the match with Rhea Ripley, yet Becky Lynch is not focusing on Rhea Ripley, where Rhea's almost laughing at Becky at this point, because Becky seems to be getting, well, she's mucking around with Nia Jax and mucking around with Liv Morgan. No need to. Liv is looking for a redemption story. Obviously, her match was interrupted by Becky Lynch last week with Nia Jax. She's returned the favour this week. Something suggests that perhaps Nia Jax could actually get involved with both of these next week.
The only thing I can see, this is what makes me think that Rhea will retain at Mania, is the fact that Becky is so preoccupied with, she hasn't finished this Nia Jax story, and the fact that, like, I was watching Raw on Monday and I was like, I can't believe we're going to get the conclusion to this feud on a Monday Night Raw. Then Liv gets involved, and I'm like, that's cool. I like this, because I think this feud is a bit bigger than just a Monday Night Raw match. And then the fact that Liv is now getting involved, it's either going to be a case of we're going to get a multi-person match at Mania involving possibly the four of them, Liv, Nia, Becky, and Rhea, or it's going to be a one-on-one. Rhea retains, Becky takes some time off. We then get some sort of story between Nia, Liv, and Rhea going forward for however long until Becky comes back. And then, do you know what I mean? Becky comes back and completely just obliterates the three of them and retains title. I don't know, but I'm just glad that they're doing it the right way and not finishing stories on Monday Night Raw when it's been a bigger thing the past couple of weeks, past couple of months, past couple of years with those two.
Yeah, I can see your point with that, to be fair. And I mean, when you look at this from another angle, obviously, like I said, Becky and Rhea is the ultimate direction, but there is a level of respect, it seems, with those two, and hopefully they can build more as we get closer to WrestleMania. But at the same time, Liv has a redemption story going on, and the fact is that WWE is putting focus on Liv Morgan. If you're a Liv fan, this is great news, because chances are she may be doing something meaningful at WrestleMania, maybe not just the build, maybe it leads to a multi-person match. The only problem I have with the multi-person match, what was the point of the chamber? Seriously, what was the actual point of that Elimination Chamber match? It means nothing. But at the same time, I can see that's a potential direction they could go. It could be a case that Becky outsmarts herself and actually ends up having to put this number one contendership on the line against the other two and see if she ends up still being a WrestleMania, which I imagine she will do. It's just a bit strange for me that, and this is what I don't see really with Liv, is that she has a redemption story, but if you want to have the redemption, go for Rhea Ripley. Don't go for Becky and Nia Jax. Don't say I have to earn my way to get that title match, because that's what, if you look at Drew, for example, He's made sure that he got himself in the position to go for Seth, to go for the World Heavyweight title. Then he backed it up by winning the Chamber, but he's got himself multiple chances. If Liv just went and attacked Rhea Ripley, surely that would be more inclined of her getting what she wanted.
Yeah, I mean, unless there is some ultimate plot twist in the story that we don't know about that's yet to happen. I mean, let's be honest, Becky had to win the Chamber match to get her shot at Mania. Otherwise, there's no logical reason for that match to happen. Yeah, I can see what you're saying, though. Like, with Liv, she's come back, and I don't know. Like I said, what's the whole thing with Liv and Nia? Was it Nia that took Liv out for a couple of months, or was that the story beat or whatever? Because I'm presuming that's the reason why Liv got involved. It was something to actually do with Nia, not so much Becky, because I think that's what they're arguing about.
Well, Rhea took Liv out, and then literally, so I think it's because Becky got involved with the match with Nia Jax last week. So it's actually, the issue is with Becky. It's kind of like, well, you interrupted mine last week, so I interrupted yours this week, and it's not all about you, Becky. Everything seems to be about you, and it's not, and it's actually about other people as well. And I think it's almost playing to a point that I think because we suggested Liv Morgan will go heel at some point in the near future, and this is where I kind of struggle to think that's not going to work in execution, because it's going to feel like the almighty prophets here, where the fans just won't buy it because too many people like Liv Morgan. I think right now, if you do that storyline, people are going to start booing Becky, not booing Liv, which I think would be the idea of what they're trying to do with it. But hey, like you say, maybe there's a story beat that's going to come out and we're going to think, oh, that's genius, that really worked, that's made for this WrestleMania match, this WrestleMania match, or it's led to, a multi-person match, and we think it's a very good way, the way they've done it. Time will tell, but one thing's for sure, all four ladies have a prominent role in this Women's World Championship match at this particular moment, even though the match is set as Rhea versus Becky. It's the road to WrestleMania. It's supposed to be topsy-turvy, different turns, different twists, and we've got a twist here going on.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope it's something bigger than a case of it's just not it's just not a story beat that's keeping them preoccupied and giving them something to do until Mania. Like, I'd like there to be some sort of payoff to this, because otherwise, why have we had these interferences and DQ results, and it kind of doesn't make sense. So yeah, like I said, with say Mania around the corner, like I said, maybe it turns into a fatal four-way. Again, I've said this many times, the problem that I think WWE has is their rosters are stacked, and you want to try and get everyone on the show. I mean, Jesus, we had Apollo Crews turn up on Monday Night Raw. That was a shocker. I was like, where has this guy been for months on end? But like I said, hopefully it will all work out by Mania.
That's what we want it to do. We'll move on in the meantime. Zane here says that we both played 2K24, and if so, what did you think of it? I haven't played it as of yet, so I can't comment.
No, not yet. I refuse to buy digital copies of games for 3-day early access, so I will buy a physical copy when it comes out on the 8th, which is Friday.
Nice. Well, hopefully we can give you a bit more of a review then the next time we hear Zane for you on that one. And Temple in the house as well, and says, hope everyone is enjoying 2K24. Has got the early access, thinks it's a great game, has the potential to be the best 2K game since 2014, which of course, high praise indeed. The Temple, hope you are doing well, and already I imagine has got some footage of 2K24 on his channel, so make sure to go check them out after we are finished here. Bobby with a question for us now. Do you guys think Tama Tonga will show up at WrestleMania or NXT stand and deliver? What a great question this is. At one point, I thought Tama Tonga could have been a great for the NXT side of things, just because of the fact that the Good Brothers have gone down there, kind of as an old school Bullet Club kind of feel. But even though he's not technically part of the bloodline, this is what could be beautiful about it. Because let's say, for example, this is now, I'm throwing hypotheticals out there, Cody and Seth win night one. The bloodline is barred from ringside night two. And you think, hang on, Cody's getting the job done then, because it's one-on-one. We can't get interference. Well, Haku is seen like an honorary kind of family member, if you want, because with the bloodline, obviously Rikishi and Haku were close and tight back in the day. They were a tag team actually at one point on SmackDown back in the early noughties as well. Could this be a scenario that, say, Tama Tonga could be the reason that Roman retains at WrestleMania 40, debuting in the main event, and of course then being a part of the bloodline moving forward? Because there are even rumors that Haku could be going into the Hall of Fame this year.
Dude, if we get another Roman Reigns result where we get interference and we get a new, I'm all up for the idea of a new bloodline member. I love the fact that it could be Tama Tonga. Tama Tonga is great in the ring. He's great on the mic. He's a solid wrestler. Dude, if you're going to run the same result again, and it's kind of like, at this point, I feel like we're just beating a dead horse with a stick. It's kind of like, what are we just going around in circles here doing the same thing? I think Tama Tonga is a bit too good for. See, this is the problem. Like, if you're clued up in the wrestling world and you watch New Japan, you know who Tama Tonga is and you know what his history is and all this kind of stuff. But for the average WWE fan, who probably has never seen anything New Japan and doesn't have a Scooby-Doo who he is, maybe NXT is the right place. But I don't know. Like we just had Sean Spears go back there as well. So I don't know. Maybe, but then it's meant to be a developmental brand, and I'm kind of like, I don't really want to stack the NXT roster with all these stars that really don't need to be in a developmental brand. So I don't know. Like, it'd be fun to find out, or I don't know. Maybe there's a whole plot twist with if he is to come in, like he's supposed to be rumored. Maybe there's some sort of something could go down at Mania. Maybe Tama Tonga will turn up. Maybe he'll cost The Rock. I don't know. Like I said, maybe he's involved in the Jimmy J match that they're going to plan on doing. So who knows, man? It'll be fun to see.
It will be fun to see indeed. Right now, if you ask to ask me to put my money where my mouth is, I would say actually the week after WrestleMania, like the Raw after or the SmackDown after, I would say is the place I would predict. But time will tell. It's going to be interesting to see. Roger here says TNA got the lowest rating on last week's TNA show, or lowest rating. I'm guessing it's rating. Yeah, I guess maybe some interest has just sort of dipped a little bit. The hype is not as what it was at the start of Hard to Kill. It's, I suppose, to be expected, especially when Scott D'Amore's been fired. You need to continue building momentum, what you can do with the company in the meantime. But Rebellion not too far away. I'm sure they can get the momentum back at some point. Temple Places says WWE doesn't need to do this tag team match, in my opinion, with Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody. 3 of the 4 will be pulling double duty. Not a fan of it, to be honest. I'd do it, but not at Mania. What are our thoughts? I'm going to keep it short and sweet on this one, Temple. For me, if I had the choice, I would have done it at Elimination Chamber. But this has been built for WrestleMania with that press conference, so I don't see any other choice. I think it has to be done at WrestleMania. Therefore, it feels like a big time WrestleMania match, and I think actually Night 1 is the suitable place for it. And I like the idea that they're using the storyline narrative for Night 2. And just as a last little touch, the first ever WrestleMania did have a tag team match as its main event. And I think, to be honest, if you're going to do a major tag team match as a main event, I don't think you get much bigger than this. So for me, I see the point of Temple, but I'm actually all in for it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way it would have worked at Chamber is if Chamber was in the States. The fact that it was in Australia and it was a funky like time for the majority viewing audience in the States, it's the only reason why I think we didn't really get it. But I think I'm the same as you. I think it's a Mania match. It's The Rock. Did you know what I mean? This guy, he's only gonna perform at the big shows. You ain't gonna see Rock on a Backlash. You ain't gonna see Rock on a Great Balls of Fire. Do you know what I mean? He's only going to show up for the big 4. So do you know what I mean? It kind of makes sense that it's on Night 1. It's just, again, it's another year where the ladies don't get a main event because of the bigger story, which is a shame, but you can understand why they've done it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally understand why they've done it indeed there. Keaton with Leo says, with how she's been positioned in TNA, how long do you think it'll be till Ash by Elegance becomes champion? A while, I guess. They're playing the long game here with Ash at this point. She's not done too much, in my opinion, since she's come in via Hard to Kill. But it would be nice to start seeing something ticking along with her, really. I want to see some in-ring action. I would like to see her get a push. I think that she's someone that will be a champion in there one day, but as you said, how long will it be? I'm going to go Slammiversary or even Bound for Glory at this point, which would be summer or even winter time, or should I say autumn time at this point, because she's not doing a lot. But I know, NXT, you're not really following too much on the TNA circuit.
Oh no, I've seen bits and pieces, and I'm exactly the same as you. Like, I know she hasn't done much, and I mean, for me, the character is very close to Toni Storm, and it's kind of like they've got to do something with that character to make her not seem like as presented as the same as Toni Storm, and not be quite kind of like this. I don't know what the correct wording is, but you know what I mean. Just try and make Ash a bit different. You know what I mean? And how they do it, I don't know. But yeah, I'm the same as you. Slammiversary, anytime like that, you could see her being champion.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it could be that's sort of around that time period. At the moment, Jordan Grace is knocking it out of the park as well, so it's kind of hard to see who's going to take the title off her at this stage. Temple says Jack Perry makes his New Japan debut, beats Shota Umino in the New Japan Cup, and he then joins the House of Torture side of Bullet Club, Scapegoat Club t-shirts at the ready. Yeah, I did see the clip of that on X. earlier on. Actually, haven't seen the show itself, but did see that Jack Perry has joined the group, and yeah, it looks like he's going to be sticking around in New Japan for quite a while. It seems to be. Temple, don't worry, we will not say that about the little one being a little shit, but things get it off the mother. Don't tell that. It'll be in the doghouse. Yes. Yeah, we won't say a thing. Don't worry, you're safe. Safe here. Won't put it on the screen or anything. Ray says, are you a fan of Mustafa Ali in TNA? Ray, hope you're doing well, by the way. Thank you for checking this out. Yes. I mean, he's X Division champion, but I'm not a big fan of the good hands. If anyone's seen my predictions for Sacrifice, they'll know already that I just don't see them as a credible tag team. They're kind of like the Jobber Squad, if you want, of tag teams in TNA. I understand his support, but I would have preferred a stronger unit behind Mustafa Ali.
Strange that Mustafa Ali being part of a faction that's got 4 or a couple of questionable members in it. Very strange, you know.
It's not happened before, is it?
No,
Maybe look for
I like Ali. I think I love him as a wrestler. It's just a case of I don't know. Like, I think the X division is too low for what he should have come in for. I think he should have come in for that World Championship. I think that, I don't know, unless he's going to use it as a step up. I don't know if do TNA still do the thing where they trade in the X division title for a shot at the world title, because I'm all for that if that's going to be the end goal with Mustafa Ali, because he's a great wrestler. He's been a great wrestler for years, and it's about time that he, do you know what I mean, is rewarded for his hard work.
I have to agree. Yeah, I hope that he does use Option C at some point. It certainly is a possibility. They do still do it in the company as well. Bobby goes on to ask, should WWE do a number 1 contender match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2? They have the wrestlers against Asuka and Kairi Sane. Of course, they did do this at WrestleMania 37 previously, so it's not actually alien. This has been done before. I personally think at this stage, and this is just me talking, I would just do a multi-team match. I think that's just the best way to do it, because it gets everybody in the card, one match. If we have everybody pulling double duty, it's going to become where it's the trend where a lot of people are missing off of the card because of the fact that they need to get everyone doing the things linked to night 1 to night 2. And I think then it comes to an argument of should WrestleMania just be one night again and cutting out the filler stuff. But so for me, I prefer the multi, especially at the moment. I think the biggest match they could probably do in the women's tag team division is taking place next week on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I mean, they've done well in building up a load of teams, but there's so many that you're kind of like, what do you do with them all? I mean, the only thing I can think of, I don't know, I'm sure someone else does it similar, but the only thing I would suggest is like, start it off as a battle royal, over the top rope elimination. Once like one of the tag team partners is eliminated, the team is eliminated, and then you get down to the final 2 and just have a normal tag team match. Do you know what I mean? Just that way you can get all the ladies involved, because like the way they're booking it in the minute, we've had a kind of heel turn by Candice LeRae, and like with Indy, you've had Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree. You've got Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. You've got Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. You've got the Kabuki Warriors. You've got, I'm sure there's a couple of teams down in NXT that could be involved in it. There's generally a load of Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, put them back together, or if Sonya Deville maybe comes back, put them with Piper with Chelsea Green. There's loads of teams, but yeah, they've got to do something. I mean, what was the last time they did a multi-person one? It was the Fatal 4-Way when the Iconics beat Becky and Bayley. Bailey and Sasha.
They did do that at WrestleMania 35. Yeah, I feel they did one last year at WrestleMania as well. I feel like that was the trend last year. I'm trying to think who was in the match, which is not good for the top of my brain now, but maybe the comments will be able to help us out on that one shortly. But I'm pretty sure they did do a showcase last year as well. No, they didn't.
Why?
They didn't. It was a 6-woman tag team match. It was Becky, Trish, and Lita against Damage Control, and it was Becky and Lita that were the women's tag team champions. That's
right. Okay, yeah. So this means, so then maybe they should come up with an idea for like essentially like a gimmick match for the women that only happens at Mania every year. Do you know what I mean? Like a tag team battle royale that, like, name it the, I don't know. I'm trying to think of. No, I can't think of a famous women's tag team now, so it's kind of a bit pointless. But you know what I mean? Just have a battle royal that only happens at Mania, kind of like the Andre Memorial Battle Royal, but do it for the women's tag team championships, just so then the women have got something to do so that like they all get a shot and be in on WrestleMania.
I like it. The Renegade Twins Battle Royal. There we go. Sorted. Noob McCowan House, how are you doing, Noob? Hope you're keeping well. Thank you for joining us as well. Roger actually got the 40 years edition of 2K24, liking the game so far. Thank you for the feedback and glad that you are enjoying the game. That's pretty cool to see. And also, was we happy with Sting's last match? It was awesome in Roger's opinion. I'm going to let you take this one first, Alex. Dave, did you enjoy Sting's retirement match?
I did, all aside from Darby Allin, because I find I find him really hard to watch because he puts his body through so much torture, dude. And it's to the point where I'm like, I almost can't watch the screen. Like, dude, going through that pane of glass on the chairs, I was like, oh my god, dude. I don't know how he does it. I know that they want to write him off because apparently he's about to go and climb Mount Everest or something.
Yes.
The dude's off his rocker, but yeah, like the torture he puts his body through is just unreal. But otherwise, I thought it was a great finish, a great match. Having his sons dress up as his old gimmicks as well, I thought was fantastic. Like, Jesus Christ, those kids are a spitting image of him. Like the one that dressed up as Surfer Sting. My God, like, honestly, buff Jack dude. Like, I was like, why isn't this kid a wrestler, man? But yeah, I thought it was great. The right result. I'm glad that Sting won because I know that obviously on the way out, it's normal for the veteran or to put over the younger guys, but it's the young bucks. They don't need putting over. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad Sting won.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I predicted the Bucks would win, but I'm going to be honest and say I was wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong. I think that this retirement match was done to perfection. I really enjoyed it from start to finish. Thought it was a fantastic main event. I thought that it was classy as well, like you say, with the video package that Sting had before starting, coming out. You can see he was emotional watching it. I bet a lot of people watching at home were emotional as well, probably in the crowd also. Like you said, you mentioned the Suns already on stage. Obviously, Server Sting, Wolfpack Sting was really cool. And the match itself just thought was really good. And I think that the Young Bucks, sometimes when you see like the gain from having to put in the retired person out, there's something for the other people. But like the Young Bucks don't need it. They're like one of the greatest tag teams of the modern generation without this. So they didn't need to win the match. And I think that, like you say, everyone went home happy. People wanted Sting to win. He did. And look, the Derby spot is going to be subjective to a lot of people. Some people like it, some people won't. I agree with you with the fact that it's hard to watch, but I will say that it takes a lot for me to react. And I really reacted to that moment, and just to see all the blood come out of his back was pretty gruesome. But it was very well done. I mean, the fact that he could walk afterwards, fair play to him, because like you say, these are the type of spots that can probably really end someone's career and possibly worse. So I'm not really a fan of those type of spots, but in this as a spectacle for what it was, I think that it worked on this particular evening, and it did help with the narrative of the match that Sting had to pretty much do the rest of it on his own. And I think that the fact that even the legends being involved also, just for me, all in all, it was very well done. I think that it was a great end to what was a great pay-per-view. Of a quick recap of the show, with Ospreay to Takeshita, for me, is match of the year so far. I have not seen a match better than that. I think it's actually better than all the matches that were done last year, to be brutally honest. And I just think there was about 4 or 5 matches on this show that were tip top. I think this is one that they show out for Revolution every year, AEW, and I think this year was no exception. And I really do think this is one of the best pay-per-views they've ever done.
I'm yet to watch it all. I've seen bits of it. I'm yet to watch the Ospreay match, but I know I've seen stuff that like they apparently that some of the older guys in the back had never seen a Will Ospreay match and didn't realize how good he was. And I'm like, I'm sorry, if you've been living on a like a foreign planet for the last like 3 years, the guy's like been one of the best around. So for them to turn around and go, I didn't realize he was this good, is shocking in itself. But yeah, like I said, I haven't seen all the show. I've seen the Sting match, and I've seen a couple of the matches at the start. I just haven't had the time to watch the rest of the show yet. But the Ospreay one I know is one that I need to go and watch. Yeah, and like just to add to that video package, like the slide dig at where they put in, I'm not sure if it was on this one or the other one they put up, but the fact that they put up thanks to New Japan for the footage and all this kind of stuff, he's blatantly a slide dig at WWE for not giving them access to the WCW footage, which I know they should have got. But like, yeah, it's the one thing that peed me off because I'm like, you didn't need to put a thank you on there because normally they put it in the bottom corner, didn't they? Courtesy of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
And you could just tell the fact that they put it in big writing and right in the middle of the screen that it was basically a big middle finger to WWE, which again, it's a tedious thing, and it's probably just me being nitpicky, but it's one of them things. But hey, props to WWE for Michael Cole and was it Corey Graves or
Pat McAfee or
Pat McAfee, yeah, for do you know what I mean? Showing the respect on Raw the other night as well.
Absolutely, yeah. To be fair, they made reference to it, and it was really nicely done as well. Nice when actually wrestling companies can get along. Yeah, like you say, it wasn't so much the night before, but WWE did their effort to do so. Nubuko here says the Bayley revenge story is pretty much more Oscar and Kairi Sane story than Neo Sky. She's just the third women's story because Oscar is once again the workhorse. It does seem like that this storyline has cooled off a little bit. I know that the Dakota Kai turn was always coming. It was very well executed, but yeah, I do wish that this had a bit more focus on it than what it's got. I feel that it's not the story that everyone's talking about going into WrestleMania, which is a shame, but I still think it's going to be great on the night.
Yeah, I mean, was it you guys? Was you talking about? It's all about Dakota's hairstyle, whether she's going to turn heel or not. Can't remember if it was you or not. Someone was. I saw someone talking about it, and apparently you can tell what if she's heel or face depending on what her hairstyle is or something. I don't know, but yeah. For me, it's really just sort of I've been sort of disinterested with this storyline since I'm trying to think when it was now. Since the actual, I think it was since the actual turn. Like the fact that they gave it away on I think it was on a SmackDown, and I was kind of like. I thought it deserved a bigger stage or whatever it was that to do it, or even like they could have done something at the Rumble or who knows. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't know what the clue is going forward. Whether it's meant to be, is it a case of that Bayley wins this title and then Dakota Kai is the focus going forward? I don't know. Is that supposed to be Bayley's first rivalry coming out of this? Who knows? But I don't know. Like I said, I've been so disinterested in this story for the last couple of weeks now. Not like I said, unfortunately, there's just bigger stories going on, and it's kind of like just faded to the back for me.
Unfortunately, that's the way it's been presented. Like I say, Bayley deserves more respect, but hey, we need to have the story that goes with it so that it becomes a bigger talking point in some of these streams. Because unfortunately, at the moment, there are other ones that I suppose seem to be higher in priority at the minute. Unfortunately, for those ladies involved in it, have put a lot of hard work over the last sort of 2 years to make Damage Control what it's become. But hey, we move on in the meantime. Temple Place says the end goal for Liv Morgan is to become women's champion. I agree with that actually, but the story is with Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea beats Becky at Mania, and then at Backlash, Liv beats Rhea. There I may disagree with the last sentence, but I do agree that I think Liv Morgan will eventually become women's champion. I don't know when Rhea loses that title. I can see Rhea holding it for a while. I don't think it's going to be all the way to WrestleMania next year, but I could say to at least SummerSlam at this point. I think if Mummy beats Becky, I see her keeping it for a long time. But I do think Liv Morgan, I think, could be another contender for Money in the Bank this year.
Yeah, I think it depends on when they do the draft, and if not the draft even really matters at this point, but everyone seems to turn up on every show. But it depends on who they move over. Like, I presume that Charlotte will be moving over to Raw just for the pure fact that Andrade is on Raw. So I can't imagine they put Andrade on Raw just to move him to SmackDown in a couple of months' time. So I presume Charlotte's going to come over. So depending on what happens with that, yes, I don't know. Like B-list pay-per-view is not really a common place for titles to not main titles like women's titles, world titles to change hands. So as much as I'd love to see Liv win it at Backlash, I think it like maybe SummerSlam is probably your earliest point if she doesn't lose it at WrestleMania.
I would probably agree with that at that point there, and that's probably then when it could happen. But it's going to be interesting. It's a long story, but Temple, I think it's certainly a strong shout, obviously, and I think that's a match that will happen at Backlash. So we'll see. Time will tell. But Temple, loving your work that you're doing there today. Roger says I'm disappointed that 2K has not updated Butch to Pete Dunne in the patch update. Give them time. Day one update, isn't it? They've done the Jey Uso entrance. I know that. So hopefully Butch will come in at some point. Kicking with Leo says, do you think Liv joins Judgment Day? Rhea gets kicked out because how over she is, and Liv has ties in with Dominic and then being locked up, and with having their tie-ins with Finn when they teamed up. See where you're going with the long-term storytelling there with Finn Balor and, of course, Liv Morgan back in the day, but I personally don't see this.
I don't see Liv joining, no. I mean, Mania is going to be the real big telling point, and like kind of like the Raw and SmackDown after what happens with Judgment Day, depending on if Priest cashes in, if they lose the tag team titles, if Rhea retains, depending on also what Dom and JD are doing. Like, hey, you never know, might be Dom versus Gunter at WrestleMania, who knows? So Dom could be walking out of WrestleMania as the IC champion. I don't know. Like, it's going to be, I think, an interesting time for Judgment Day, because again, they're another one for me that have kind of, they were a serious group, then they kind of faded off slightly. They got really interesting with the R-Truth story, like funny gimmick story, and now it's a kind of like, we're at this point now where it's like they either possibly break up or go their separate ways, or they have to go back to trying to make them a dominant faction again. But again, depends on what happens at Mania.
We'll have to wait and see how it's going to go down. It's going to be interesting. I think Judgment Day could be disbanding after WrestleMania. And just to answer you, the Dominic Mysterio, I think he could be taking on Andrade the way things are looking at present. I reckon that could be a potential way it could go. Did you watch NXT Roadblock? Asked Ray. And if you did, what were your thoughts? Did you get a chance to see Roadblock?
I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen the YouTube highlights, essentially. Dijak doing that dive off the top of the cage is completely insane. And like, the whole duct tape around the eyeballs thing's crazy, man. I thought it was very intuitive, very cleverly done for that kind of match. Even some of the kendo shots were just awesome. And just in general from the other show, the Trick Williams coming back. I'm glad that Tony D'Angelo won that. I'm glad that we're going to get Tony D'Angelo versus Dragunov as just something different. And then this Trick Williams Carmelo Hayes stories will hopefully play out at, I think, Stand and Deliver is on the Mania weekend, isn't it? That's their pay-per-view. So hopefully that will happen. I'm trying to think what else was on there. Chase U didn't win the tag team title. So there's loads of little bits and pieces that are, again, I think they're more trying to build for Stand and Deliver. But from what I saw of the show, it actually does look like a really good show.
Yeah, it was solid. I think it was fairly predictable. I got one prediction wrong out of the lot, but which was the Joe Gacy Dijak match. But I was kind of happy I got that wrong, to be honest. I think Dijak deserves a good run, personally. I think he would be a great match for Obafemi, actually, come Stand and Deliver. But it looks like he could be going with Josh Briggs as well. But we'll see how that's going to play out. I will actually announce it tomorrow. Be NXT Stand and Deliver match card predicted, so you can see that video on this channel tomorrow. I thought this was a solid show overall. Like I said, Trick coming back, I thought was good. I like the little Easter egg that was thrown in that Tony D actually threw the music on first time in the match on purpose. The fact that he put it his blame as the Don, it kind of just fits his character. I just like that little simple and effective booking, just for me, to take the character seriously as well. The fact he's willing to do what it takes to win as well just makes him a bit more creditable. His family is bigger now as well, going into Stand and Deliver. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Tony D going into that sort of semi to main event scene. But all in all, really good show. Really enjoyed Roxanne Perez's heel turn as well. Thought it was a very brutal spot with Lyra Valkyria as well. That should hopefully set up for that show as well. This is a great question from Roger. Do you think Austin Aries is the greatest man to ever live? No, is going to be the answer for that, because however great you are, there's always someone better. Go on, Steve.
It's very true. That's very true, yeah. I was going to say, it's subject to opinion. It depends on if you're a massive Austin Aries. Like, I'm pretty sure Austin Aries himself thinks he's the greatest man alive, and I'm pretty sure Austin Aries is number one fan. Did I say Austin Theory the first time? Austin Aries probably thinks he's the greatest man ever to live, and his number one fan probably thinks he is the greatest man to ever live. But, yeah, again, I think there's a bigger population out there that probably thinks he's not.
It's all down to subjective opinion. That's what it comes to. But you also have to do option C. Fair play to him for that. But Tama Places, I think Tama Tonga could show up at Mania and help Roman and beat Cody. Yes, people in the chat don't rule it out. Tama Tonga, AJ Styles, or Finn Balor after Mania is a shout.
Hey, dude, Temple, I'm telling you now, I'm predicting Roman wins at Mania, just for the fact that way I can't get my prediction right. I can either have Roman win or Cody win, but if I predict that Roman wins, you know what I mean? I'll get my prediction right. So I'll take one win, one W out of it.
Absolutely, indeed, yeah. Absolutely. Bobby says, who do you guys think you'd like to see wrestle Alex Hammerstone in TNA? Of course, Hammerstone now is signed full time. Well, we're getting the Josh Alexander rematch. That's something I'm really excited to see. But I think the answer to this is everybody. Hammerstone really impressed me at Hard to Kill, and I want to see him against all the top dogs in TNA wrestling. To be honest, I think you're naming Nick Demos, your Steve Macklins, your Mooses, your X Division stars as well. If they're there, I want Hammerstone to face them. I think perhaps Shelley would be a great match, actually, personally, if I'm thinking someone to stand out of the lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Hammerstone going to TNA is kind of like, this is his ground where he now needs to start making a name for himself. So essentially, he needs to start wrestling everyone. He needs to start putting his name on the market there, that when his contract does come up with TNA, that he has put himself on a plinth that he can go to AEW or he can go to WWE. Like, he's essentially using it as a stepping stone for the next one. But yeah, I think he's great as well. I just want to see more of him. I think just like put him up against everyone, Moose especially. I think Moose and him could probably have a great match.
Yeah, that would be probably a good match indeed. I wouldn't lie to that there. Bobby said, I'd like to see Hammerstone versus Nick Nemeth or Steve Macklin, answering his own question there for us. We're about 20 minutes behind on the chat, so we're going to try and catch up with you all, because otherwise we will get a little bit out of control. But speaking of out of control, we'll talk about Damage Control in the meantime. I don't think someone will help Bailey against Damage Control, asked Zane. I'm going to say Naomi, yes, will help.
Sasha Banks.
If she hasn't got Big Business on March 13th.
Yeah.
We'll see. It looks like people are tempting it. We'll wait until we see it. Roger says, Jordan Grace had a go at me on X. I said, Jay Gargo were not good enough to wrestle Jordan Grace. Obviously, Jordan Grace feels differently. That's what I would take from that there. But Martin Career in the house, it's been a long time. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Says, what's up, Steve's? How long do you expect WWE's current era of great wrestling to last? Very good question. Well, Triple H is the one booking it. So, I mean, the fact is that as long as Triple H is in the helm, I think we could be in for quite a good run going forward, personally.
I mean, dude, how long did Black and Gold last for? The Black and Gold era of NXT and how good the wrestling was there. So that's it. And Triple H was at the helm for that. So I think for as long as Triple H is in charge, you're going to get decent wrestling. Like I said this a couple of weeks ago, that even the standard of tag team matches that we get every week on the show is raising the quality, and it's just a TV tag team match. And that's what this is why everyone loved NXT back in the day, because the quality of wrestling was really good, alongside with some great storylines as well. But the quality of wrestling was there, and I think that for the foreseeable future, I think it's just going to be a lot more entertaining. Like I've in the past 6 months, since SummerSlam, not last year before, I've started thoroughly enjoying WWE's product a lot more since Triple H has been at the helm.
Yeah, same. I feel like it's been a breath of fresh air in the last couple of years, and I really feel that turning the corner to the point, I'm really looking forward to Raw every week at the minute, and that's like, it's the longest show, and it used to be the one I was dragging. I was dreading Raw every week, and now I'm like, I really look forward to watching Raw when I get around to it, and it's it just shows that it's been turned around quite quickly and quite well done as well.
Even Wrestle Talk said today, because they stopped doing reviews on Saturdays for SmackDown the week before The Rock came back, and since then, even though I was watching their video today, and they turned around and said that they did it because it would save them someone not having to work at the weekend, but they are kicking themselves because SmackDown has been must watch since The Rock came back. And it's kind of like, do you know what I mean? It's you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So, that says enough that when one of the biggest wrestling YouTube channels turns around and says that we're not covering it at the minute on Saturdays like we used to, and do you know what I mean? It's like we're missing out on, do you know what I mean, that side of the business.
Yeah, there you go. Shows indeed. I agree. And hey, there was a gap in the market for a small time. Not anymore. Leo says, do you think John Moxley and Okada will become the next AEW Tag Team Champions? I'm actually going to say yes. I think that's a great showing on the last show, Revolution. I think they're teaming up for a reason. So I'm going to say yes.
What with their fake LOD shoulder pads on? I saw that.
Indeed, yeah.
I saw the saw it on Twitter. Yeah, why not, man? I mean, it gives Moxley something to do. Gives Claudio Castagnoli something to do. So, as long as it keeps them on telly, you can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely. Temple says that Ospreay Takeshita stupidly good match of the year for himself currently, so we do agree in that. Zane says, do you remember Generation Meat in TNA back in the day, and do you think there was a good tag team? Well, they were the Young Bucks, and yeah, I enjoyed Generation Me back in the day.
I never used to watch TNA back then, so I never had access to it, because I think, wasn't that the point when like TNA was like an internet service and you had to pay like just an internet subscription to watch it if you didn't know where to get it elsewhere?
I saw them on Challenge or Bravo or one of those channels back in the day. They were on in 2010 times, but before that, yeah, it was impossible for us to see it back in the days. But did manage to get Generation Me, I think it was 2010. I want to say 2010. Martin says, what was the best and worst case scenario for Judgment Day split if it was to happen? I mean, best case scenario is that fresh storylines, fresh direction, doesn't get stifled anymore. Damian Priest can go off and be a world champion without having Judgment Day holding him back, potentially, if they are in the way of any says. I reckon him and Balor will have a rivalry after WrestleMania. Dominic Mysterio, I think at the moment, has got the heat. I think he can do it on his own. And Rhea is getting almost too popular for this group. So I think that could be the best case. Worst case scenario, you look at some people, I suppose they could be lost without the numbers game. Dominic, like I said, although he probably can do it on his own, he does have the security blanket of Judgment Day. He is exposed. JD McDonough ends up back doing probably nothing, curtain jerking probably, and probably losing every time he wrestles. Finn Balor's contract's coming up. So does he stay? Does he go? That's a big question as well. And what if they did split and Damian Priest was Costa the briefcase? There are some worst case scenarios and some best case ones. And Steve, do you agree or disagree with any of those?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, the Priest becomes champion, feuds with Balor. JD and Dom possibly go and be tag team champions. Rhea obviously would still be women's champion. There's there's a couple of possibilities. Worst case scenarios, they could all be sitting in catering in a couple of weeks from now and doing absolutely nothing.
Goodness, that would not be good. That would not be good. Roger says, is Jordan Grace leaving TNA? She posted next that she's taking bookings in April. I think they still take bookings, even though they are with TNA Wrestling, usually allowed to do independent stuff. So I wouldn't read too much into it, but I haven't heard if she would be leaving or going anywhere. Bobby says, what matches would you like to see happen at AEW Dynasty or Dynasty, whatever they want to call it, on April the 21st? I think it depends on your location of what you will be calling that pay-per-view. But would Swerve Strickland get another go at Samoa Joe, or is that going to be Wardlow's shot?
I think Wardlow's probably earned the shot, but like Kyle O'Reilly coming back has now thrown things into a swerve, and I'm like, do you know what I mean? What's Kyle O'Reilly's plan? Like, is he going to get involved? And maybe like his thing is to completely disrupt this group, the Undisputed Kingdom. Do you know what I mean? And Wardlow's part of that, and I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm glad that Kyle O'Reilly's back. I really want to see what he does going forward. Whether Roderick Strong's his goal, I don't know, but yeah, I'd say Wardlow gets a shot. Why not? He's been booked strong once again, and we're back in this scenario where maybe Wardlow should be given his opportunities. Just my forever problem with AEW is that they book these world champions and then they fall flat once they become world champion.
Yeah, it's very true. Very, very true. Other matches, I would probably pick Mercedes Moné, Tony Storm. Probably seems like that would probably be a likely one that could happen. I think Hangman Adam Page is going to be out for this one, so I don't see him and Swerve having a match on this one, unfortunately. But because that feud still looks to be still going on. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do
happens with the tag team titles. Maybe I don't know, because obviously I presume Sting and Darby are going to relinquish them, so you're probably going to get a finale of some sort of tournament that's going to involve the tag team. So that'd be good to see as well. Hey, Pac's supposed to be coming back as well, so put Pac on the card. Why not, man? Get him bookings, doing something. So there's loads of things you could do.
Yeah, we've got plenty of plans there for AEW Dynasty there. We hope you like some of the ideas there. Temple says, the only women I see beating Jordan Grace if I were booking would be Masha Slamovich when Masha is champion. Let's revisit Masha versus Killer Kelly. The dog collar match was fantastic. It was really good, actually. It was really good between the two of them. And I've actually enjoyed their work as a tag team as well. Has been good stuff indeed. Temple also goes on to say, I think they should actually build Ali up and not give him the title just yet because of who he is and what he's doing. Would have been better if he beat a former X Division champion, but that's just me, I suppose. Well, I mean, he has beat Chris Sabin, who was the X Division champion, has been the most times X Division champion. But I get the point of building Ali up rather than just going in straight at the top there. But looks like that's the direction they're going at the minute anyway, because obviously they've got the 6-man tag team match. Kushida obviously is multiple-time junior heavyweight champion. I don't think he's won the X Division championship, but he's challenged for it. And Kevin Knight looks like a bright prospect as well. So there's plenty of people from Mustafa Ali to wrestle in the meantime. And TNA Wrestling should be very, very interesting indeed. Roger goes on to say, sorry, did you have something for that one, NXT? Sorry,
no. I was just going to say, like, I'm obviously a massive fan of cruiserweight wrestling anyway, so the next division is essentially their cruiserweight division. So there's absolutely a hell of a load of killer matches they can put on. So, do you know what I mean? It's an exciting time for the X division because, so with Ali being champion, you're not going to go wrong. So, do you know what I mean? The sky's the limit with them guys.
Looks like Sting there's not retired. He took a big dive off the microphone there, didn't he?
Just
like a balcony.
And head first. Dolphin splash.
Roger would like to see Tiffany win Money in the Bank. What do you both think? Wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, good shout. Or like I think we said before, Chelsea Green, just for the pure fact it's in Canada.
Would be fun as well. Bobby says, will we see NXT wrestler or main roster wrestler against Obi Femi at stand and deliver for the North American Championship? I did suggest Jack could be a fun one earlier on another video. I suggested a multi-man match could be fun as well. I'm not quite sure. Femi is the unknown when it comes to NXT stand and deliver right now. Yeah,
he seems to have just popped up out of nowhere, become North American champion, and it's kind of like, what do we do with the guy now? Dijak seems like a good possibility because depending on what happens with Dijak's contract status, whether he's re-signing to NXT, whether he's leaving, who knows? But if he's leaving, a big win over Dijak, a major pay-per-view for Obi Femi will be, do you know what I mean? It's just a good thing for him, really.
So yeah, I think it'd be a good thing either way. And Temple here says that Obi Femi NXT is going to be a start. The guy is a beast. Everything he does, it just seems to grasp and grab everybody's attention. It seems to do it pretty darn well. We got Roger here says that R.I.P. Ollie Anderson, you are a true legend in wrestling. Absolutely, rest in peace to him. Yeah, sad. We've lost a couple of people this week in the world of wrestling as well. Vachon as well passed away. Was announced on Raw, of course. Virgil last week as well. So we've lost a few names, unfortunately, in the wrestling world, and obviously condolences do go to the thoughts of the family, of course, the fans as well, and everyone in the wrestling community. Temple goes on to say next then, Sami Zayn beats Gunther at WrestleMania would be huge, but I kind of want to see him win Money in the Bank and become world champion. He deserves it so bad. I think both are great. I'm going to ask the question quickly. Sami Zayn or Chad Gable? I know the answer. Which one is getting Gunther at WrestleMania?
I would love it to be Chad Gable, just for the pure fact that Chad Gable has been doing numbers all years round and has not been rewarded for his work. Sami Zayn, for me, his reward is winning the world title. So for me, he has to go on to Money in the Bank. For me, I'd still want him to be part of Mania somehow, but I'd want Chad Gable to take that IC title because Chad Gable has just been solid for the last 18 months. He's been putting on quality wrestling matches on Raw, on SmackDown, wherever, and he needs to be rewarded for it. Sami, part of the biggest storylines last year, but he has got to that point now where, just like he was in NXT, he needs that world title. He doesn't need the IC title. He's done that before. He doesn't need the United States title. He's done that before. He needs that world title. So for me, I would rather have Sami go on to win Money in the Bank.
I'd rather Money in the Bank, but I want that Mania match. I do think Gunther versus Sami has got 5 stars written all over it. However, it's hard to argue against Chad Gable when he's throwing his heart and soul on Raw, saying it just means more to him and the reasoning for it. When you hear that, you just kind of go on, Chad, rooting for you a little bit. I'm not going to argue either way, whoever wins it.
Traditionally, I know they always kind of normally do a multi-man ladder match at Mania for the IC title. Again, something else that I'd want to see implemented. There's so many dudes that they could throw into this. Like I said, they're doing a gauntlet match for next week for this pure reason. And I think it would be a more fairer thing to do for the guys that aren't going to be on Mania. Do you know what I mean? You could still have the same winner, but dude, I'm telling you now, it would not surprise me if we get Chad Gable coming out at number 1 next week and he runs through all of them and goes on to Mania. But the problem is that the problem you have to work that is how they're going to book it, because I don't want Chad to lose, but I don't want Sami to lose either. And how you're going to book them two as a final two? It ain't going to happen. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they book it.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. So I think Bronson Reed's in that final two. It's who he's going to be in there with, and it could be, judging off Raw this past week, could be Sammy. But let's wait and see. It's going to be fascinating to see how they're going to do. Maybe they're building Sammy versus Bronson for Mania. It could be interesting how it's all going to play out. This Monday Night Raw will tell us everything we need to know. Shay in house, Shay Sawyer. Hope you're doing well, Shay. She actually loved Roadblock, which is great to see as well. She actually really enjoyed that show. So thank you for joining us. And of course, she's part of the meta too, of course, on bodyslam.net. So make sure to go check out her review of the show, which is available now. But of course, stick with us until the end because we're going to go for about another 10 minutes, ladies and gents, going through the rest of your questions. We're going to fire through them. It's going to be a power 10 minutes. So we're going to go for them as best as we can. Who are you looking forward to playing as in 2K24? What match are you most looking forward to playing? For me, eventually CM Punk when he's in the game is who I'm most looking forward to playing as, and probably most looking forward to playing an ambulance match or a special guest referee. It's been a long time. Alex, Steve?
For me, I'm going to say Bray Wyatt just for the pure fact that I've seen like one of his things is he does the whole handstand and it's like it's one of the comeback specials on the game. And I'm like, I want to do that. But for me, if I had to choose a game mode, it's going to be special guest referee just because I love screwing my mates over when we wrestle, when we play it. Like I've got two other mates we normally play the game together. We normally do 6-man tags, triple threats, whatever, elimination chambers. But now special guest referee is back. I just cannot wait to screw them over as a special guest referee.
Good times. That's gonna be fun. That's what's the beauty of that special guest referee. It's going to be fun. And GM mode is always my favorite as well. TJ in house. TJ, thank you for joining us. Hope you are doing well. Roger says, do you think that WWE AEW will hire Scott D'Amore? I think someone will, and I think whoever does has won because literally, I think he'll be a great get.
He is. I think he's AEW bound. I think if you put Scott D'Amore in ROH, I think ROH becomes a lot more credible than currently being portrayed as, because I think at the minute Regal's in NXT, you've got your authority characters in Pierce and former NWH. That's it, Nick Aldis. There we go. They're kind of authority figures for Raw and SmackDown. I think if Scott D'Amore goes ROH starts becoming a lot better product, and is again the Beast probably just presenting it better.
There you are. I don't need more good wrestling, though. This is the problem. There's too much of it already. Kicking with Leo says, if Liv does go heel, do you think that she'll be on her own or start a faction with someone like Roxanne or Cora Jade when she gets heel feet or other women on the roster? I mean, it's hard to say really at this point. I would see Liv being a solo act at this particular moment, personally. But you never know if you go heel. It's sometimes good to have numbers on your side.
I'm always a fan of the small, like, kind of how Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman were booked. You know what I mean? Tiny female, large male. Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of like a Poison Ivy Bane kind of dynamic. Like, have Liv have a powerhouse like a Bronson Reed or an Obafemi. Do you know what I mean? Just a big unit behind her. I'd prefer that idea.
Absolutely. Zaina, we don't have to pay for AEW weekly shows on Thriller TV. There are different ways to watch it from where we're from. We don't need to pay for AEW weekly shows.
Yeah, normally over here it is on free-to-air TV, but you have to wait like 3 days behind the actual broadcast over here.
There's also Fight TV is always an option as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we get Dynamite on a Friday night over here or Thursday night, one of the two. Stupid.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They should have it live. Bobby says, I'm interested to see if we get Tiffany Stratton versus Bianca Belair for WrestleMania. I am as well. I'm looking forward to that story if it does happen to be. We'll have to wait and see. Tiffany time is still getting that push.
Yeah, it does. I'd be all up for it. My issue is Jade Cargill, man. Dude, she's had one match and she's been on TV a couple of times on SmackDown last week. What's the plan for her? Like, I'd like to see Tiffany Bianca, but I'd also like to see Jade Cargill mix it up with either of those two as well.
So would I be down for that also. Maybe Jade that could be involved with Damage Control. She could be one that could be helping Bailey. That question that came in earlier. He was actually keeping an eye on them last week. Roger says, I'm going to All In at Wembley in 2024. Can't wait to go. Roger, hope you have a fantastic time when you do go. It will be an amazing experience if it's anything like last year.
Yeah, dude. Thoroughly, like I said, enjoy it, man. Just be prepared though, because obviously you know what them pay-per-views are like. They're like 4 or 5 hours long, so be prepared to sit for a while. So it's going to be a long one.
Do you know what? It flew by for me in that chair. I actually felt completely different being there live. Didn't drag at all. I could have done with more, and that says a lot for someone who complains that AEW shows are too long. when you're there, it's a different vibe all round. Roger says, are you a fan of Mike Bailey and Trent Seven as a tag team? I am. And they've been interesting so far. I do prefer Mike Bailey as a single star, I won't lie, but at the same time, I do think they have been quite entertaining as a duo.
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed Trent Seven's heel work that he was doing recently, so it'd be interesting to see how they work as a dynamic in a tag team. But hey, no wrong, it can't do no harm, can they? So it'd be nice to see.
Absolutely. Bobby, the $1 million question here says, do we think Okada debuts tonight on AEW Dynamite or a Big Business? Oh, I'm going to say tonight. I think tonight's the night. I really do. They could do double doing at Big Business, but I'm going to say tonight's the night.
I think Big Business makes more sense, but then again, I don't know. It depends because you don't want to have Mercedes Moné debut and you don't have Okada debut, and then one overshadows the other. So tonight is a very good chance.
I think he debuts tonight, and I think that this match is set for Big Business because he's the Rainmaker after all.
Always good chat, actually. Yeah,
we'll see. Time will tell, Bobby. But that was a question I was hoping would come up tonight, and pretty glad that you asked it. Thank you, Bobby. CD in the house, hope you're doing well. C Nation Dog says WWE has done Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso so many times in the last couple of months. They truly have. But yeah, it's remained interesting enough. But I do think now they probably can call off for a little while.
To be fair, when was the last time you saw a rivalry that was on every week? It's been a while since we've had the same match every week for 6 weeks. Do you know what I mean? So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I've been okay with it this time, but I think I would say if they do any more now, enough's enough. We're cool down for now.
Yeah.
Traeger was amazing, but isn't believable enough to beat Gunther. Sorry, that's fair.
C Nation doesn't have faith in the underdog story, apparently.
Just to say very quickly, because we're going to wrap up in about 5 minutes' time, but we've been experimenting a little bit, obviously, on the channel, and there's been some new music that's been introduced. There's music with this live stream as well. Are you feeling the music? Let us know, yes or no, in the comments. If so, we can change up next time. If it's a no, if it's yes, maybe this one sticks around. Zane says, who is the best version, Killer Cross in TNA or Karrion Kross in WWE? Killer Kross 100 times over.
Yeah, I mean, his WWE run has not been good. He was in a bad place in NXT. He was just a giant among small guys in NXT, and we don't say much about his main roster run at the minute. Not at the minute. CD says Braun Breaker does not come out. I remember his TNA debut, and I was like, dude, this guy looks like an absolute unit, an absolute psychopath. And the way he did it, he dressed as a security guard or something, and then who was it he jumped? I can't remember now, but I was like, dude, this guy just looks immense. Yeah, literally. I can't remember who he attacked either now at this moment, but I mean, he attacked so many people and left the card backstage and stuff like that. He was in a menace, and he was actually, he was really good in Lucha Underground as well. As the White Rabbit over there, or some form of rabbit, maybe White Rabbit. I can't quite remember. It's been quite a few years since Lucha Underground, but he just looks psychopathic, and for me, something just not clicks in WWE. I don't know what it is, but the dude has got something. It's just WWE hasn't brought it out of him at this particular moment. They seem to expose weaknesses rather than work to his strengths, and I think that's a shame. But CD on the money here actually says a point, but actually says it correctly as well at the end here. Says Braun Breaker doesn't come out with the NXT Tag Team Championship with SmackDown, which doesn't understand, but I think the main roster is wanting him to look like a single star. You've answered your own question there, because that is exactly, I think, what it is. They are trying to present Braun Breaker as the single star, arguably the next big thing. Yeah, I mean, if he was a North American or NXT champion, he'd come out with the title. So, yeah, I presume it's the only reason why they would do it. This is why I was surprised that they had them win the Dusty Classic and had them win the tag team titles. That was the thing I was really shocked about, because he's now essentially doing double duty probably until Stand and Deliver. Yeah. Potentially could be at this point. It'd be interesting to see if he fits on the menu card as well. See, this is when I first get to W2K24 and playing My Rise. That's my favourite mode. Oh, interesting stuff indeed. I've never really dived into the My Rise. Yeah, I bet it's meant to be really good. Yeah. Interesting. Scott Retro Wrestling says, even gents, who are your personal picks for the Hall of Fame this year? Of course, Paul Heyman was announced earlier this week. Of course, Philly feels like the right place, doesn't it? And of course, we had Bull. Oh, God, I can't remember her name now. Why have I gone blank at this moment? Bull Buchanan. No, it's not Bull Buchanan. Bull Nakano. Nakano, there we are. Yeah, got them in the end. Just my mind went blank there for a second. But yeah, I mean, I've done a video on this already, but I think I would change some of the picks at this personal point anyway. But I mean, I've heard Haku is meant to be rumored for this.
I quite like to see the Midnight Express to be inducted, to be honest. I think that would be quite cool as well. And I still think Ken Shamrock is going to get a shout in for the Hall of Fame this year. I don't see that one not happening. But what would you say, NXT, as personal picks?
Yeah, I think Ken, like the video game is normally a good way to go by. Like the fact that you normally go by who they've put in the DLC, like the Headbangers are in the DLC list this year, which makes me think that maybe the Headbangers are going in. So who knows? But yeah, I'd say Ken Shamrock is a good shout as well. We was having this discussion earlier. Having Paul Heyman, like, who is Paul Heyman going to be the headliner? Normally, the first announced is normally the headliner. So I'm really glad that someone like that is getting, like a manager is getting the spot as the main, like, sort of the headline inductee. But for me, if I could just throw one out there just to get someone in there, Jim Johnston. How did that guy still has not been inducted into the Hall of Fame? He's criminal, man. Like that guy, they let go of him years now, and the fact that guy set a generation alight with his music and still hasn't been inducted is criminal.
Yeah, he needs to be. That one I really like, and I really hope does happen. CD's only watching highlights.
So let me ask you this quick, just while we're on the subject of Hall of Fame. Now that Vince is removed from the product, do we think Owen Hart will ever be put into the Hall of Fame now that Vince is no longer part of the company? Because let's be honest, Owen deserves it. Triple H normally has a way of getting these things to happen. Like CM Punk coming back is one of them things. Do we think it's more of a possibility now that Owen Hart could be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
No. My reasoning for it is because Martha has come out and said that they don't want it. They don't want it. And now that they have the Owen Hart tournament with AEW, the connection is now with All Elite Wrestling, and a lot of that is actually focused on the Owen Hart Foundation, which I'm sure WWE would do if they were to have him in. But I think whilst the association goes on with All Elite Wrestling, I don't see Owen Hart going into the Hall of Fame. Does he deserve it? Absolutely. Would I love to see him there? Of course. But the fact that they've said that they don't want him to go into the Hall of Fame just makes me think.
Yeah, I knew that part.
Yeah, I just don't think it's ever going to happen. But Triple H is working wonders.
As I'm saying, it's just like it seems to be that like a lot more things are possible now that Vince is no longer part of the company. Like I said, we've seen people return that we thought would never come back, and the business model is different. And like you said, I think depending on how long the run goes with AEW, I mean, mind you, it's not out of the blue. It's not out of the norm that we can see someone be inducted in that's working for another company. Like, dude, we had Billy Gunn inducted as part of DX when he was working for AEW. So it's not unusual that we can get someone inducted. I'd like to think that he gets that recognition. I know, like I said, I think if WWE could work it in a way with, like you said, the charity, the Owen Hart Foundation, and do something for that, I think there's probably a more likely chance that it would happen. Just because, like I said, Owen deserves it, and it's, let's be honest, WWE is the biggest wrestling company in the world, and more eyes probably view that product on a weekly basis. And what a great way to get eyes on Owen Hart as a wrestler, but even just raise awareness for his charity and stuff like that.
I mean, it would be awesome. It would be awesome if it ever happened one day. I would be along there with the first people to say, well, happy about it. But I think it's a time will tell scenario. And though I don't believe it will happen, I'm never going to say never. Never say never. And anything can happen in wrestling, and you know, things can always change. But only with Martha's words, while she said that, for now I would stick on the no side. But I hope one day it would change. I do hope one day. CD says that he's going to be able to see The Rock next week on SmackDown. I'm not jealous at all. This is a blessing in disguise because I was supposed to go to Raw, but there was a snowstorm, so then I couldn't get to go. So WWE gave me free tickets. Amazing is that? Free tickets. Result indeed. The CD. Let's know what the lottery number is going to be this week. So I think you won there, my friend. Honestly, it's like a lotto win, that one. Temple says Gunther ends with Sammy versus Chad Gable when they wrestle to a time limit draw and both face each other in the triple threat match at Mania. They need to do something to make it a triple threat match. Certainly could be a case if there was a bit of something at the end there. CD says that he didn't say he wasn't a fan of Chad Gable, just isn't believable. His name was even Shorty G at one point. I try to blur that out there. Kind of like what's been said here earlier on by Ray here, says that Vince McMahon has been blurred out in Showcase in 2024. Trying to also blur that out as well at this point.
Sorry, I find that hilarious. It's the right thing to do, and I'm so glad they've done it. Because I think we had this conversation, was like, because obviously Brock was advertised for it. I wonder now that if they're going to go back through all the network footage and blur him out from it, like, how do you take him out of certain skits? Like, he was like the biggest villain on their TV show in the 90s. Do they rename him as Mr. Blurry Face?
They just have to take out the attitude era. They literally have to take out every year of wrestling up until 2022. The network might as well not exist if that's what they're going to do.
You blur his face and you do the voice changer and you give him like a high pitched voice and do him nice and squeaky like a chipmunk.
Something like this.
Yes, exactly it. Yeah.
I think it would be perfect.
It was me, Austin.
All along.
Enough of quoting him, though. He doesn't deserve that attention anymore, does he? Scott Retro Wrestling, is your poll finish for the next retro review? Yes, it is. WrestleMania 20 will be on this channel next week. Myself and Nick Steve will be doing that one for you next week. The WrestleMania that, well, WWE wants you to forget, speaking of. But Zane says what's been the best wrestling company in the last year? For me, WWE. All in all. AEW has done great stuff as well, but I'm going to go WWE.
I think as it's kind of, you break it down to two things. As a story-driven narrative kind of show, where the wrestling has got better as the years got on, WWE, generally a better wrestling show at AEW.
Yeah, can hear that. I mean, the thing is, the in-ring wrestling product is fantastic in AEW, and they do it consistently week in and week out. Scott would actually like to see Mania 20. We're in luck. That's what you're going to get next week. It's going to be happening. Tedward says they'll probably do a ladder match with the US title. Logan, LA Knight, Randy, AJ Owens, and potentially one more is a suggestion there from Temple there with that one. Also saying that special guest referee did Balor versus Priest with R-Truth as the referee. I hope you put that on YouTube. Definitely be checking that one out there as well. Fantastic stuff indeed. Zane says, are you a fan of Booker T as an NXT commentator? I know CD's not. To be fair, it's so unpredictable that I've kind of grown to accept Booker being a part of the desk, and I find it actually can be quite entertaining. It can be quite painful as well, but you take the good with the bad.
It swings around about with him. He's very 50-50. Sometimes he's great. Sometimes he's very shucky-ducky quack.
Exactly. Exactly. Headbangers have signed a Legends deal with WWE. Absolutely. Which is, if we're going to go back to the old Hall of Fame video that I did in January, I put them in it. Hall of Fame, Bam Bam Bigelow needs to be inducted. I put Bam Bam in it. I'd love Bam Bam. I think Bam Bam would be perfect for this year, actually, just to say. Of course, he was a former ECW guy as well. Yeah. It'd be perfect for it. Zane says, would you ever go up to a person in the street and ask them to scissor you? Absolutely not. I'm normal.
Depends if I'm drunk or not, I suppose. Probably. Like, if I was drunk, I'd probably end up doing something stupid like that. It's a good thing I don't drink, really.
I suppose that back in my old clubbing days, maybe I might have used that as a chat-up line at some point, but probably unlikely. I wasn't that confident. But Temple says you can only play as Brock in Showcase mode. He's not in the game as a character. Halfway finishing Showcase already. Wow. I'd say Temple's putting in the work. He's putting in some hours already, which is good to see. It says the day Booker T leaves commentary, I'll be so happy I'll be able to watch a full NXT show again, says CD.
Oh, no, you can do it now. You just put the TV on mute.
Yeah, just put it on mute. That's probably the best way. Temple says best wrestling company in the last year, New Japan, with the story with. I'm not going to pretend to say some of these names correctly, unfortunately, Temple, but saying with all of them, it has been gold. Tanahashi has been cooking. Yeah, what I see of New Japan is decent, but I must admit, as you know, Temple, I'm not a consistent viewer of their products, so it'd be unfair for me to claim them to be the best. But hey, probably some stuff I should be checking out, but I'm not
Wrestle
already.
Kingdom is probably unfortunately anything I check out just because it's their biggest show of the year.
Usually for me as well, probably Dominion as well if I get the opportunity. But that's all from us anyway. Thank you everyone that's been watching. Like I say, if you can really help this channel out, hit the like button. Let us know what you reckon of the video as well. We'd like to have your input if you're watching on delay. Thank you. You've taken an hour and a half out of your life to come and watch this stream. Really do appreciate it. And thank you to all our chat with all your questions, keeping us busy for the last hour or so. It's been really, really good. We've been talking about, of course, the potential ending to WrestleMania 40. Might change the title of this video actually after we go off there. I've had a bit of a brainwave as we're getting to the end of the stream here. But I want a big thank you as well to Mr. NXT, who's been in the house, has been answering your questions as well. Always been the sidekick, and he'll be back next week as well. Going to be doing WrestleMania 20, the retro review, which I know he's so much looking forward to. But NXT, any words for everybody before we close off the show?
No, man, just again, same as usual. I always enjoy being on here, man. And yeah, man, like I said, I swear that they do this to me. Like every time that I'm on one of these retros and there's a poll, they always do the dodgy one or the one I don't want. So I think it's me, man. I think I'm like a bad omen when it comes to these polls for the retro reviews.
Hey, we give the people what they want, and this is the WrestleMania which WWE wants you to forget. Clearly, our chat do not. So it's going to be interesting to see how we're going to do it. But yeah, it's going to be a fun time. We're going to focus on the show, though. I think that's the thing we probably should just to let everyone know early doors. We'll be focusing on the show and not talking about what we could talk about. We're not going to be doing that. So we'll be focusing on what actually is given, which is the wrestling. So just be prepared for that next week. But yeah, thanks for everyone that's been involved anyway. And like I say, if you're watching on delay or you're watching now, let us know at the end. Did you like the music involvement? Do you like some of the changes that are coming on the channel? Let us know. We'd love to know your input. But thank you all for watching. Look after yourselves and each other. And we'll see you for the next one. Take care.